Welcome to the AI Campa Show Tech and AI. My name is Greg and I am the presenter Generate by AI. I am created by Luis Campanella. I hope you enjoy the episode is full interesting. Please subscribe and thank you.
Today, we're jumping into something that definitely sounds like science fiction, but believe me, it's becoming very real, very fast. Quantum computing.
That's right.
Think about a future where, developing new medicines takes a fraction of the time, or global logistics run perfectly, or even how you keep your data safe is completely transformed. It sounds out there, but it's happening.
And our job today is really to cut through some of the hype.
Yeah.
Give you the essentials. Mm-hmm. What are these quantum computers really?
Exactly.
What can they actually do right now or very soon? And maybe most importantly, how close are we to seeing their impact in your world? We want you to leave with a clear picture.
Okay, let's start right there. Quantum computing. We hear the terms qubits, superposition, entanglement. But for those of us following tech, we get that it's not just about making faster chips. So how does it actually change the game? Is it just faster?
Yeah, that's a really common question, and it's key. It's not really about being faster across the board, like upgrading your laptop. The core difference is how they handle information.
Okay.
So classical computers use bits. Simple enough. 0 or 1, on or off.
Right. Binary.
Exactly. But quantum computers use qubits. And here's the mind-bending part. Thanks to quantum mechanics, specifically a principle called superposition, a qubit can be a 0 or a 1. Or both at the exact same time. Think of it like spinning a coin. While it's in the air, before it lands, it's sort of in a state of both heads and tails.
Okay, wow. Both 0 and 1 simultaneously. That's already a lot to wrap your head around. But what happens when you link them? Does that bothness just add up, or is there something else going on?
That's where the second really weird quantum effect comes in.
Entanglement.
Entanglement. It's wild.
Okay.
If you entangle two qubits, they become linked in this really profound way. Imagine like two magic dice. If you roll one and see the result, you instantly know the result of the other one, even if it's miles away. Instantly.
Yeah.
Their fates are tied together. And when you combine superposition and entanglement with many qubits, that's the source of the power.
So that lets them explore, many options at once?
Millions, potentially billions of possibilities all at the same time. That's why they can tackle certain very specific complex problems that would take today's best supercomputers, literally ages to solve, if they could solve them at all.
Right. So it's not faster for everything, but smarter for the really, really hard stuff.
Precisely. That's the perfect way to put it.
Okay, so we've kind of peeled back the first layer on what they are, but the big question for everyone, I think, is about impact. Forget the cool physics for a second. Where can these things actually make a difference? What problems can they solve?
Yeah, and this is where it gets exciting because the potential applications are huge.
Yeah.
Think about drug discovery. Instead of years of lab work, trial and error, a quantum computer could simulate how drug molecules interact with proteins in the body at the quantum level. You could predict effectiveness for diseases like Alzheimer's or cancer much, much faster. It's a total game changer for medicine.
That alone is huge. What else?
Well, optimization problems. Imagine a massive shipping company trying to find the absolute best routes for thousands of vehicles simultaneously, factoring in traffic, weather, fuel costs.
An impossible task for current tech, really.
Almost, yeah. Quantum computers could potentially find the optimal solution instantly. Think finance, finding the best investment strategies from countless options, or even modeling complex systems like climate change or fundamental particle physics in ways we just can't right now.
And didn't Google have a big moment a few years back? Something about quantum supremacy.
Yes. Google in 2019, that was a major milestone.
What did they do exactly?
They demonstrated their quantum computer, Sycamore, could perform a very specific mathematical calculation in about 200 seconds.
Yeah.
A calculation that they estimated would take the world's most powerful classical supercomputer, at the time, something like 10,000 years.
Wow. 200 seconds versus 10,000 years. That's supremacy, all right.
It was definitely a powerful demonstration.
Yeah.
But, and this is the important nuance, that specific task was designed to show off the quantum computer's strengths. It wasn't immediately useful for, say, designing a drug or breaking a code.
Okay. So it was a proof of concept. A very impressive one, but still.
Exactly. It proved quantum computers could do something classical computers couldn't, which was huge. But it also highlighted, that we're still on a journey to get to those practical applications. It showed the potential, but also the road ahead.
That makes sense. So seeing that potential and that Google result, it naturally leads to the question, who's actually building these things? Who's in this race?
Oh, it's a crowded field, and it's heating up. You've got the established tech giants, the big players. IBM is huge in this space with their Q System 1 accessible online. Google, obviously, with Sycamore. Then there's D-Wave, who've been around a while, focusing on a specific time called quantum annealing. Intel's investing heavily, Amazon, Microsoft with their Azure quantum platform.
So the usual suspects in big tech.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's also fueled by really innovative startups. Companies like IonQ, Rigetti, Sequantum. They're often pushing specific technologies or approaches, raising significant funding. It's a really dynamic ecosystem.
And it's not just companies, is it? Governments are heavily involved, too.
Absolutely. This has become a major national priority for many countries. You see massive government investment from China, the U.S., the European Union, billions of dollars pouring into research and development.
It really does sound like a modern space race. What's the driving force behind that? Why the urgency?
Well, it's partly scientific advancement, of course, but strategically. It's about achieving what's called quantum advantage first, meaning being the first to build quantum computers capable of solving real, impactful problems that classical computers can't. The implications for national security, for the economy, for intelligence gathering, they're profound.
Right, especially cybersecurity.
That's probably the biggest driver, yeah. Mastering quantum computing could give a nation a massive edge in code breaking, potentially rendering current encryption obsolete. It's high stakes.
Okay, let's talk about that because that affects literally everyone listening. Cybersecurity. How serious is the threat from quantum computers to, my online banking or my private messages?
It's a very serious long-term concern. The issue is that the type of encryption that protects most sensitive data today, things like RSA encryption, relies on the mathematical difficulty of factoring very large numbers.
Which classical computers are terrible at.
Exactly. It would take them billions of years. But a sufficiently powerful quantum computer running a specific algorithm called Shor's algorithm could theoretically break that kind of encryption relatively easily.
Break RSA. So banking, secure websites, encrypted messages, all potentially vulnerable.
Potentially, yes. If or perhaps when a large enough stable quantum computer is built.
And this is the really scary part I've read about. It's not just about future data, it's about data being collected now, right?
That's the chilling aspect. Someone could be harvesting encrypted data today. Emails, financial transactions, government secrets, just waiting for the day they have a quantum computer powerful enough to decrypt it all. It's sometimes called the harvest now, decrypt later threat.
Okay, that's unsettling. So what's being done? Are we just waiting for the inevitable?
No, definitely not. Thankfully, the cybersecurity community is being very proactive. Organizations like NIST, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, are already deep into the process of selecting and standardizing new encryption methods.
New methods?
Yes, called post-quantum cryptography, or PQC. These are algorithms designed to be secure against both classical and future quantum computers. The transition is starting now, upgrading systems to be quantum resistant. It's a massive undertaking, but it's happening.
So it's a race to upgrade our defenses before the quantum threat fully materializes.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so we have this incredible potential, this global race, this looming cybersecurity issue. But let's be real. Why don't I have a quantum chip in my phone yet? What are the big roadblocks? Why aren't these machines everywhere?
The hurdles. Yes, they are significant. Probably the biggest challenge is just keeping the qubits stable. Qubits are incredibly fragile. They're super sensitive to, well, almost everything. Tiny vibrations, changes in temperature, stray electromagnetic fields, even cosmic rays zipping through from space. Any little disturbance can cause them to lose their quantum state, which is called decoherence.
So you have to isolate them perfectly.
Essentially, yes. That's why most current quantum computers look like these giant, complex chandeliers inside massive refrigerators. They need to be cooled down to temperatures near absolute zero, colder than outer space, just to minimize that environmental noise.
Wow. Okay, that's a major engineering challenge. What else?
Hand in hand with stability is error correction. Because qubits are so fragile, errors creep into calculations very easily. Even tiny errors can cascade and ruin the whole result.
So you need ways to constantly check and fix these errors.
Exactly. But quantum error correction is incredibly resource intensive. Right now, you might need thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of physical qubits just to create one single, stable, reliable, logical qubit that you can actually use for computation.
Thousands for one. That sounds like a huge overhead.
It is. It's one of the biggest bottlenecks to scaling up.
Which brings us to the third challenge, scalability itself. Getting from dozens or hundreds of noisy qubits today to the millions of stable, logical qubits needed for those really powerful applications. That's a monumental leap, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It requires breakthroughs in physics, materials science, engineering. Building a fault-tolerant universal quantum computer is arguably one of the greatest scientific and engineering challenges of our time.
So putting it all together, the incredible progress, but also these massive hurdles. The big question for you, the listeners, probably, how close are we? When does this quantum future actually arrive?
That's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, expert opinions differ.
What's the general range?
Well, you'll hear some experts say maybe 5 to 10 years before we see quantum computers providing real advantages for specific niche problems in research, or maybe certain industries like materials science or pharmaceuticals.
Okay, 5 to 10 years for niche use. What about broader impact, affecting everyday life?
For that, many people push the timeline out further, maybe 15 to 20 years, or possibly even longer, before quantum computing is mature enough to significantly change things for the average person, like revolutionizing finance or breaking current widespread encryption.
But things are moving fast, right? We hear about new qubit counts and breakthroughs all the time.
Incredibly fast. The pace of progress in the last decade has been stunning. IBM has a roadmap aiming for a system with over, I think, 4,000 qubits very soon, and aiming for much larger systems beyond that. Google, IonQ, others are all pushing hard. So predictions could change.
So the takeaway seems to be, it's coming, prepare for it, but maybe don't hold your breath for it to change your commute next year.
That's a pretty good summary, I think. We're close enough that industries, governments, researchers need to be actively preparing and investing. The cybersecurity transition needs to happen now. But yeah, we're not close enough for widespread panic or expecting quantum laptops next Christmas.
Right, it's a horizon we can see. And it's getting closer, but it's still a horizon.
Precisely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. These machines, they aren't going to replace your everyday computer. You won't be, browsing the web or checking email with a quantum computer. That's not what they're for.
They're specialized tools.
Exactly. But for the specialized tasks they are good at, they promise to be utterly transformative. Medicine, materials, AI, finance, security, entire fields could be reshaped from the ground up.
And the key thing is, when that shift happens in those fields, it likely won't be gradual. Quantum computing power tends to scale exponentially, so the change could feel very sudden when it arrives.
That's a crucial point. Exponential growth is hard for us to intuitively grasp.
So maybe the final question for you to think about is this. What does that kind of exponential shift really mean? If drug discovery or financial modeling or code breaking takes a sudden massive leap forward, what does that world look like? How might you, personally or professionally, start thinking about adapting to that, even if it's still maybe a decade or two away?